At least we're not live anyway, and we can edit it.
That's it. We can edit all sorts.
There'll be a lot of beeping, won't there?
I like
All
it.
right. It'll be fine.
You all ready?
Ready to rock?
Yeah, let's
Ready
go.
to rock.
Let's go. Hello and welcome back to the Renewables podcast. It's been a bit of a while for myself and Sam sitting down to record. We've had the Christmas break and all the rest of it, and we've got a really nice episode to come back with today with two special guests. Before we get to them, how are you doing, Sam?
I'm all right. Like you said, it's been a while since we've been sat opposite each other, and yeah, I'm a little bit apprehensive just about recording again because it's over a month since we've done this, isn't it? So yeah, I'm just hoping I haven't forgotten how to do this really. But yeah, it's been good. How about you?
Yeah, really good. A nice break over Christmas. Busy as ever with things in the training centre and with the renewables stuff. And these two guests here beside me I know very well, but we'll introduce you to our audience and the TIS boys. So we'll start with you. Mark, how are you doing?
Yeah, good, thanks, Mark. Yeah.
Nice of you to come along and see us here and have a little chat about the test gear and the history of the brand and such. So
Yeah.
interesting conversation, I'm sure. And Steve?
Yes. Thanks for inviting us.
Yeah.
Yeah. Happy New Year and all that.
That's it, we never said that actually. It seemed strange saying it like 2 weeks in nearly,
I think
aren't we?
there should be a cut-off where you stop saying Happy New Year.
To be fair, when this goes out, the cut-off will have well and truly passed. So, yeah. But no, it's there is that cut. I think you can get away with it in January, then as soon as it's February, that's it. You can't do it anymore. But we've been looking forward to getting you guys on for a little while because the whole testing side of things of renewables is a bit like the renewables sector is ever changing, and there's new requirements and there's new things we have to consider, and we're going to go through a lot of that over the course of this episode. So I'm really excited as an electrician, geeking out on test equipment and going through all of that and trying to work out if I'm doing things wrong will be really cool. So I'm really looking forward to hopefully learning a bit on this episode.
Yeah, same as you. I'm a huge geek for testing. That's what first brought me to you guys a few years ago now, and picking up your test sets in the traditional AC world of things. And like Sam said, with the world of solar and DC, it gets way more complicated. But before we get to that, give our audience a bit of an introduction as to what TIS is, Test Instrument Solutions, when it sort of started and where you are now.
Yeah.
Which one of you wants to pick up with that?
Over to the older one.
Yeah.
Well, we sort of formed the concept in 2005, began trading in anger, shall we call it. In 2007, Steve's dad and myself started to sell electrical test equipment, voltage testers, safe isolation, innovative stuff that other people had not previously necessarily brought to the market. And the idea was to keep it small. And here we are now.
You failed at keeping it small, to be fair.
We tore that part of the book up, and but yeah, it was good. So we developed the brand to an extent. Unfortunately, Steve's dad had a heart attack a few years ago. Fortunately, now he's fine. But that then caused Steve to say, "Well, look, I'm going to jump on board and join the company." And that, it was at that point that this small sort of cottage industry type thing changed because he had other ideas.
It's your fault.
Yeah.
You came and disrupted it all then.
Kind of disrupted it, yeah.
Like the octopus energy of the testing market came in and tore the rule book up.
Yeah, we don't want something small. We want to build a monster.
We'd much rather have more grey hairs and all that sort of stuff.
Exactly, yeah. I did have hair when I started, and it's gone, yeah.
No, sometimes it can take someone new coming in, can't it, to see things in a slightly different light. And I know I've found that in my business, you kind of think, well, this is the only way we're going to do it because this is the best way. And then you get someone that comes in, that could be on our side, on the installation side, a subcontractor that does something different. I know you've had some guys coming and helping you recently, Mark, I've seen on your social media, and just that extra... That new set of eyes looking at something can really make all the difference. It can be a positive thing and a negative thing, but that's kind of the risk that you take with new people coming in. But it sounds like it's worked out pretty well for you guys.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, my history as well. I sort of started in this industry with Edgecombe Instruments, who made the original insulation testers for down the mines, the intrinsically safe ones. They made the very first portable appliance tester before it was even mandatory under the electricity at work regs. And that, on the back of working for Edgecombe Instruments, is where I met Steve's dad. We then worked together at CEF for a time. Then latterly, we moved on to Matrel. Built a bit of a monster there, which is why we wanted to keep it small at TIS after doing that. And yeah, so that's a little bit about my background. Edgecombe to CEF to Matrel and obviously TIS.
Yeah, and you're kind of disrupting things even more now with the hand tool side of things. I've seen you guys kicking up with the old Nipex and the weird stuff. Is that more you than Mark still, or is it a combined effort around hand tools?
Yeah, combined effort really. I mean, was it 18, about 2.5 years ago, Nipex approached us, or Kinepex, or however you want to.
I'll be saying it wrong for sure.
We're going to say Kinepex or we'll get told off.
Crikey.
So yeah, they approached us, and what started off as a little small thing is now an absolute monster. And it takes some looking after, just the amount of SKUs and products, and you start with 10 or 15 products, next minute you've got 200, and managing the stock and everything is just madness. So but it's been a great brand for us. It's unbelievable brand, unbelievable quality, and sales have
So what is it you're
roof.
doing with the hand tool side of things then, for anyone that's not seen?
Where it started, Tam, is it was due to Brexit. And latterly, that's what's brought, and we're going to talk about that as well, which brought Weir to us as well, because Brexit came along and caused a problem for Nipex, or if you're in Germany, Knipex. It brought them a problem that they were struggling to multi-drop, particularly to electrical wholesalers with multi-branches, where after Brexit, they would bring something into a wholesaler, and UPS or whoever was bringing in the equipment, they wanted to check for duty and they wanted to check for VAT there and then, or else they couldn't drop it. And obviously, a sort of a peripheral electrical wholesale branch couldn't just write a check for duty and VAT, and it all just came to a total standstill. And then they saw that sort of we had our tentacles into quite a lot of wholesalers that they were having problems with, and we were then asked if we would be the go-between, if you like, and the clearing warehouse to get around this Brexit problem.
Okay, so it's like a bit of a workaround for the whole, like you say, the importing them
Correct.
in, and you guys are basically the middlemen, kind of giving them to other
Absolutely.
CF branches and other branches.
We've had to expand our warehouse and put mezzanine floors in and all that sort of
Yeah,
stuff.
we set more people on. Yeah, and as carriers, very happy. But yeah, it has been good for us, without a shadow of a doubt. And then obviously Weir was the new recruit. They come to us it was Solar Storage in London, wasn't it, last April? So multiple meetings, and then we kicked that off in November last year. But we've tried to keep it separately. Obviously, they do cross over quite a bit. Whereas Nipex import their screwdrivers, they don't manufacture them. Weir obviously do. So we've tried to keep just the Weir screwdriver range, and not start with pliers and installation pliers and things like that. So that's how we're going at the minute. So we've only got 13, 14 products in Weir, and obviously torque screwdrivers is the main drive. We calibrate them. We're involved with torque screwdrivers anyway. So we thought, well, actually, it's a good fit that we're selling torque screwdrivers, and again started off with a small amount of stock, whatever it was, 30, 40,000, 4 days in, all sold.
Wowzers, really?
It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So
We underestimated, as we did with Nipex, to be fair, we underestimated
big time.
And that's sold to these branches, or is that to just like Sparks?
Electrical wholesalers,
right. Okay.
The electrical sector, same as Nipex. We're not even though we do sort of plumbing products like your pliers and water pump pliers, it's mainly everything's to the electrical sector, electrical wholesale.
So there's a lot of EDE stuff that we do.
Well, so it sounds like Brexit's brought a bit of an opportunity for you guys to
Without a shadow of a doubt,
yeah,
without a shadow of a doubt,
It's not often you hear that now, is it?
And they're good to deal with as well. I think, I know wholesalers, to be fair, have complained a little bit about cleanses and various things, and we've took all that away because we're sort of the middleman. You're dealing with us, you're not dealing with them, and it's been a great fit. So so far so good.
I guess that's your expertise coming to the fore, isn't it? Where you've been dealing with importing stuff and also distributing around those wholesalers for years and involved in the wholesale network.
Yeah,
that must help massively, and you've been able to step in and do that.
Yeah, well, obviously the advantages I've had the experience over years of selling to electrical wholesalers and servicing them. Steve's had the advantage over many years of being that other side of that fence and doing exactly what they want as well. So it's a great fit.
It's good. It's good that you've worked both sides of the fence. You know,
Yeah.
20 years in wholesaling and about 14 years in electrical test equipment. So yeah, both sides of the fence. When you can experience both sides, it does help. Because you look at something, you think, I'm not so sure about that. It's going to sell in an wholesale or that. So it does help.
Yeah, for sure. And I guess the passion for you both is still around the test instruments beyond the
Absolutely.
hand
Yeah.
tools and stuff. That's what you're both interested in and the main thrust of your business still.
Yeah.
That's the exciting bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's certainly what I think. The tool side of consumables.
Yeah.
I've been told that by Mr. Bridgman more than once when I'm showing off my shiny new tools. But the test kit, that is a whole other world and range of stuff. And you've seen that, Mark, from the early days where you've had your voltage indicators and early additions of test instruments to the multifunction kits we can get now in the
Yeah.
AC world. And just got the new contact voltage indicator that you guys brought to market the other month with a kind of pen fault issue we're all seeing, and this touch before test with phalonic degradation and things. So you keep ahead of that curve, don't you? It must be quite difficult from your side to see what the emerging test instruments are, what the market actually wants. So how do you handle that? What's the kind of driving force for your decisions in what you're going to stock?
Well, people like you, Mark, and listening to to what you're doing, and the guys at eFix as well, and what problems they sort of talk about, and all the shows we do, the tech talks and stuff. It's amazing that when someone's doing a tech talk, if you just break away and go and listen to them, how much information you can pick up about potential problems that are out there, and then that clicks, and we think, right, hopefully we can find a solution to that. There's a problem. We did it with the AC/DC leakage clamp meter. That was one that transpired from a tech talk show that it was a problem. So yeah, and the contact voltage tester where we've got pen fault problems and diverted neutral problems, and yes, products did exist to attack that, but the sort of the exposure we've got in the market, we thought we can probably bring more attention to it.
Yeah, it's bringing instruments forward that are cost effective for your everyday electrician to want to buy, isn't it? There's other ways you can approach it. Make it easy, easy to access, and that certainly does that. And you did right again with the AC and DC clamp meter. I'd forgotten about that actually with the DC blinding. That was the big topic of a while, wasn't it, with EV charge points and stuff. And that was a great tool that we put in our kit. And it's amazing how much of that we found actually. That was been something that I wasn't expecting. It's more prevalent than you maybe actually realise.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's only when you can have the vision to be able to see it. And it's the same in the solar world with the testing, and this will be a new market for you two coming into solar and instruments. Now this stuff's actually tested, and I know from the conversations we've had trying to help each other with that, it's not easy, is it? And Sam, you must see that out in the field when we're trying to test these completed systems from the safety point of view, but also the performance stuff and how you evidence all that. It's really tricky, isn't it?
Yeah, it is completely. And the one big thing certainly around solar PV that is so dependent on the results you get is the sun. And I guarantee, you get delayed on a job and you don't get to a fault inspection or we're starting to do a lot of maintenance plans now for people. And, we're getting there at 3:00 this time of year. You're like, God, I've got to get my tester out soon and get some readings because we're going to be dark in the next half an hour. So thinking about when you test this kit as well, because we have got this big variable, which is the sun, to work with. In the summertime, you're laughing, but this time of year it's quite tricky. And trying to have some kit that allows you to get all that information quickly and display it to you is really important, because one piece of kit that isn't working, that you aren't using correctly or that isn't working right, can just skew all the readings, because it's not like testing an AC circuit in a ring circuit or anything like that, where you could do it any time of day. You could test that solar PV system 5 times in a day and potentially get completely different results because of what the sun's doing, and just like things like moisture in the air. If you've got a bit of an earth leakage, and how much of a difference a little bit of dampness on those panels can create. And when the phone rings for us and it's kind of like, I've got this error on my inverter and it's an earth leakage error, and I'm like, oh my God, that's going to be an absolute chew to find, because guarantee I go there and it's bone dry, and that's just how they go sometimes. So the world of solar PV testing is, like we said right at the start of the show, is ever changing, and you do need a bit of knowledge to be able to do it and interpret what you get and what external factors might be causing that.
I think that's the sticky wicket we're on at the minute, that we're all used to the AC side of testing. We get shown that in college. There's loads of content out there to watch and learn it as well. With the solar stuff, it's not really covered in the college environment. We've not been used to it more widely out in industry either. And you must see on your tech support calls issues with even setting this kit up right to be able to use it, to carry out the tests that are necessary. And it's getting over that hump, I think, isn't it? We've probably got another 5-10 years of that to go.
Yeah, I mean, it's on our YouTube channel now, but we were getting that many phone calls. I think, again, where I think in the UK, you want to buy something, you want to get it out of the box, you want to use it straight away without reading the instructions. And I think with solar DC testing, it's a little bit different than that. So we decided to do a 7 or 8 step of using the PV Check Pro, which is our top of the range commissioning tester, of just actually how you input the panel data, how do you actually sync up the reference cell and things like that, and then right at the end, how do you download your information? So we've done that, and actually we have seen, I mean, it could probably to do with the time of the year as well, but calls are less where we've said, just watch this video, I've got a problem setting up this, watch step 3 of this. You don't have to watch it all, just watch this small step of it, and that'll teach you how to do it. So that has definitely helped with installers out there.
I think it's helped internally as well with our own staff who are watching it, and predominantly we're relying on us to try to, shall I say, put fires out with people who are struggling to understand the importance of making sure that you got the right alpha, beta and gamma information in the instrument, and why it wouldn't work because the relevant sunlight levels weren't there. They were getting frustrated with that. Not a lot we can do about that, but it's helped with our own staff watching it and understanding it.
Yeah.
Being able to help people sort of nationally rather than it just coming back to Steve and me.
But you're going about sunlight, and I mean, obviously you did the training rig for us. When you try to do that in an industrial estate, and you've got to wait while 12 o'clock where that sun's come above your sort of unit, and you're looking, you're sort of knocking around of them 102 and 103 watts per metre squared, and you're thinking, if this drops another 3 watts per metre squared, that's it, it's game over.
And then it clouds over.
Yeah, and then when a big cloud comes, and then you're about to push test on the test button, you're like, I can't do it yet. So
yeah, I mean,
we've actually said that, haven't we? We've said that, like, you must get to a job and the scaffolding's up and you know it's coming down tomorrow, and you've got to go and commission a job, and you go the next day and it's chucking down or it's clouding. You think, well, I can't do it here.
Yeah.
You know, how you lads go on, I do not know.
Well, we had one last week where we'd got a training session on the rig in our car park last Monday, and we're checking the weather the week before, the Friday. We had to call it off because we just no way was it going to happen.
No.
We had it on the project down in London, first job back this year. Panels finished, next morning they're all covered in snow.
Yeah.
You can't test them when they're covered in snow. So it's you talking to the customer then about delaying the commission, and that frustrates them. But it's the thing, we can't turn it on until we've tested it and satisfied that it's safe and working, and that can cause some friction as well. But it really is a challenge. It's one for us as electricians to go on that journey, learning this stuff, because we used to just switching on a multifunction tester, plugging it in, hitting, get your results. And it's just there. It's not complicated once you get your leads in the right ports. But with the solar side of stuff, you're entering in such a lot of information, as you said, with around the alpha, beta and gamma stuff, and understanding your panel types and the currents they might produce, if they're bifacial, if they're not, the instrument that's going to work with that. It really is quite complicated, and we are seeing now industry asking for evidence of this testing, because before you could maybe work it with a clamp meter and excuse some of the tests because there's optimizers in the circuits and whatnot. Not so much anymore. We had that conversation with the torque gun company, didn't we, where they were now having to evidence that the mounting system's been torqued down correctly and how they produce those results for that. And we're seeing the same with the testing now. They want to see test certificates with date stamps, time stamps to show that it's been done and prove it, rather than it just been written in a box. I don't know if you're seeing that, Sam, your side as well.
Well, yeah, I think I've not had an awful lot of the kind of people asking for all of that, but I can quite well see that I've probably just been lucky with that, because as these companies like insurance companies and what have you tighten down on some of this stuff, they're always looking for a way out of things, aren't they? And if you aren't talking the right, the clamps to the right level, or you aren't using enough hooks, or you aren't doing this, that, and the other, then you're just giving them a way to not pay that homeowner out if something happens with the system. But even just outside of that, it's knowing and being able to sleep easy that you've done things correctly. And I think with any type of gold rush industry like what solar is now and has been in the past of this solar coaster that we mention most podcasts as a term for what kind of where solar has been and is now. It goes up and down and left and right, and you get people coming into the industry that join it for the wrong reasons. You get a lot of people that join it for the right reasons, and that it makes a massive part of their future career. But it's making sure that the right resources are out there, the right equipment is out there to allow them to do the job properly, and so that they know how to test things properly. Because you don't know what you don't know, but equally, you shouldn't just be let to wreak havoc if you don't know how to test things. And we've seen it, Mark, in terms of the pricing of some of these jobs, and you just think you've barely got enough time to even put the panels on the roof, never mind do kind of extensive testing to make sure it's safe. And whilst that's not our problem as two other independent companies, it is a problem for that homeowner that they're probably not seeing. And the difficult conversation to have with these homeowners when you do see that is they just see you as being sort of sour grapes because you're another $5,000 above what this other price is. So it's trying to increase the level that people are testing and that are held accountable for this stuff. And that means that, companies like my own have got to continually increase the level that we operate at. But yeah, having the right test equipment and the right knowledge on how to test it is very important. We can't do much about the conditions. The conditions are the conditions. We've got to work around them. But having the right kit to do the job is very important.
Yeah, I mean, with the fire safety side of things that we're seeing now, where they want to see where firefighters can tackle this stuff when it goes wrong, and we talk about bird protection, optimization and stuff. One of the basic things that should be getting done on every system, in my opinion, is a proper test when it's finished before it's handed over to prove it's electrically safe, and that you evidence that for yourself as an installer. I've been really conscious of that we can evidence we've actually done that test. And then the performance side as well, because you do see those panels degrade. I've forgotten the terminology around that now. But you get degradation in your panels, don't you, that can occur.
Yeah.
If you've not got a base test that you've done, you don't know how that started off. It could have been a defect from supply from the manufacturer, or it could be to do with the way the system's been installed and something that's affecting it. If you haven't done that performance test at the start, you've got no record to track that back to. So I think that's two things that we certainly try and do. It is difficult in the conditions sometimes. It's really hard. Understanding the instruments, again, very difficult. When you're fresh to the industry, we were fresh to it 3 years ago. I found that a challenge, which is why I helped you guys with some of your feedback with customers and stuff. We've been through those pain points ourselves and had those same frustrations. And it's kind of trying to get over that hurdle and make sure you are delivering safe systems that aren't going to set fire on someone's roof. None of us want that.
No.
And the range of kit that you guys have got available certainly helps with that. So I want to just run through what the PV range is from your kind of entry point tester to what is, I think that's the top spec one. But I've not got my glasses on, so I can't read the number on the top of it for me. But I think that's your top spec one.
Yeah, we've got two at the minute, and we'll have three. So we've got the PV checks, which has been out for 15, 16 years. I suppose it's like the PV 150 world. So 1,000 volt insulation, 1,000 volt open circuit, 15 amp short circuit current. Obviously all downloadable. The problem is, and we talked about it just a few minutes ago, is that the change in panels in the industry and the wattages that are coming out now, and then the capacitance of the panels is just causing a problem. And that 15 amps on a lot of installations now is unfortunately not high enough. So then HT decided, which we brought with us today, launched the PV Check Pro, which is 1500 volt open circuit, 1500 volt insulation test, 40 amp
which
short circuit current,
which is the important bit.
Yeah, and it's got the ground fault locator on. So again, if you turned up to an installation that you've not done, and it was wired in series, and say there was 20 panels there, you can tell it there's 20 panels. You can push the button, and it'll come out. It'll come back, and it'll say between number 7 and 8, either the positive or negative leg, you've got an issue. So you can actually identify faults. Obviously, they've got continuity, polarity, and they're fully downloadable. But we spoke to HT and said that, that there's a bit of a gap there between 15 amp and 40 amp, and obviously the PV Check Pro Plus it's not cheap. So we said that there needs to be something in between. So hopefully in March this year we'll bring out the PV Checks 1 Plus, which will be 1,000 volt open circuit. It'll be 1,000 volt insulation, 30 amp ISC short circuit current, obviously fully downloadable, continuity and all the rest of it, and it's also got the ground fault locator. And again, we're going to do some training next week in Italy, but they've got an optimised insulation test, which is going to be interesting. We don't know how it works.
We're about to find out.
We're about to find out that apparently that with the PV Checks 1 Plus, you'll be able to do an insulation test on an optimised system. And also anybody that's got the PV Check Pro Plus, there'll be a firmware update, so you'll be able to update that, so that can test optimised systems as well. So yeah, the main difference is 1,000 volt, 1500, 30 amp, 40 amp, and it'll be a couple of grand less as well. So they'll be one in the middle.
Sorry, Matt.
No, you carry on, Matt.
We're really lucky. We were talking about this earlier. We're really lucky to be partnered with HT because, yes, we sell their electrical multifunction testers in the UK under TIS, but to also be partnered with a company who will ride the roller coaster or the solar coaster with the technological developments on PV. We think we're really lucky because on an electrical fixed installation tester, things haven't changed really since the 15th edition became, or the 14th edition became the 15th edition, with different maintaining 500 volts into half a meg and all the other specs. So that's pretty much stayed the same for years and years and years, except for advancements in getting around not tripping RCDs and giving an accurate reading. Nothing's really changed. So we're lucky to be partnered with HT, that they're looking constantly at the changes in the solar panel technology and keeping track with, let's look, 15 amps is no good anymore. We need to go to 30, we need to go to 40, and we need to go to 1500 volts. And it's good to be with someone like that are investing in R&D to keep tabs on it. That said, we do know that there will be a point where they say, look, enough's enough. The advancements in these solar panels, it's not giving us the return on the R&D to keep going now. If we need to go to 60 amps, we think we've got a problem.
When you see equipment in terms of like our inverters and our battery systems doing something similar, I think it's the Tesla Powerwall 3. I think that has a max short circuit of 30 amps because you can parallel two strings into it. And I'm looking at it thinking, this is above and beyond a lot of the equipment that I remember, starting out with. And it's and I suppose every element of the industry has to keep up with that, fitting bigger DC isolators. I remember, the most common isolator that we used to fit was like a little 16 amp 450 volt isolator of varying different brands. But now you're like up at like 20 amp, like 600 volt and all this sort of stuff. So every little part, and even on the AC side, 60. We only ever keep in our business really a 63 or a 32 amp isolator. That's kind of anything 32 amp and below. We use a 32 amp. Anything above 32 up to 63, we use a 63 amp, and we're fitting more and more and more of these 63 amps because the inverters are getting bigger on the AC side, but then usually that's because we're fitting more on the DC side. So everything is just ballooning in terms of the amount of power that we're looking to deliver, and so every part of that, in terms of your tools, your testers, everything has to kind of keep elevating, and it's soul destroying when you're a business and you drop a couple of grand into a tester one year. I'm talking when I first started, and then suddenly I'm looking at it thinking, right, it's really on the cusp of actually, not being usable anymore for 90% of
I think as well with HT is the firmware updates. I think that's, most things can be firmware updatable. It's like there is other testers out there that when it goes over that 15 amp will still let you push that button and potentially you can blow the instrument. So, we've put fail safes in our PV testers that'll come up and say ISC too high, and it actually stops you from testing. And we talked about the sunlight earlier, about, there's testers out there that need 300 watts per metre squared of sunlight to be able to test. They're 100. And we found it hard sometimes at 100 watts per metre squared. So all these things over the years have been firmware updated to try and make the testers a little bit more usable in our climate.
Yeah, I guess having HT behind it, and for those who don't know, they're a massive brand in the European market. They've been around forever, and the kit they make across testing areas from AC and DC is vast. and you being able to tap into that must be brilliant from your side.
Yeah.
Expertise at an R&D level, but also the support with the instrument. It's fantastic. And what you just said, Sam, about the isolators, I give up on the 20 amp isolators long ago. I ain't got the eyesight for those terminals anymore, so I'm very much in the realms of those bigger ones. And it's just the way of the direction of travel, isn't it? Everything's getting more powerful, currents, voltages, wattages. It's just the way it's going, and the instruments will have to evolve because of that. There's no getting away from it, and being able to test this stuff is so important. One of the things I first was tempted with when we came into the market was rehashing some of our AC test kit to work with solar. You're kind of ignorant to the facts behind what you're trying to do. You think that's just an insulation resistance test. We'll just bang it on the mega or whatever. But it's not the way it works, is it? When you drill down into it, you need that specific test kit to be able to get the results you need.
Oh, absolutely. And I did the same. I was thinking, well, I've got this multifunction tester. I'm doing an insulation resistance test. Like, why can't I just put that onto my DC strings and do it the same way? And obviously it's a bit slightly different. You're doing an insulation resistance test on what is a live circuit. So, it
doesn't like it.
It doesn't like it. And it's on a DC circuit, and it's just not going to test what we need to test to get it to work. And we've been chatting, haven't we, a little bit about optimizers and all this sort of stuff, and the extra kind of complication that they can bring into a system, and how we properly test an optimizer circuit, a DC optimizer circuit that actually proves that it's okay, rather than just giving us a reading because we've had to do it a certain way so the test will report as a reading, I think or we don't blow the optimizers up. And so I think that's, again, like we mentioned about equipment developing, that's kind of the new challenge, or a more prominent challenge now that optimizers are slightly more common, that we're having to try and get over. And yeah, that's one of the next head scratchers, really, isn't it?
There's a train of thought as well that you can carry out an insulation test. Forget optimizers for now. You can carry out an insulation test on a solar system using a standard AC tester. And one system that's been sort of mentioned, shall we say, is tying the positive and negative together and then testing to earth, because obviously then you've got positive, negative together, there's no voltage between them. But if we put them both at 500 volts, we can then do a test with a normal AC instrument down to earth. A little bit like a PAT tester, where that will do exactly the same. When you do an insulation test, it puts live and neutral together, no potential between them, but puts them both, say, to 500 volts at the same time, and it's a similar principle. The problem we see with that, though, is if there's a problem between the positive and negative, you ain't going to find that out if you shorted them together to do the insulation test.
No, and with the PV system and DC systems, your protective method is double insulation or reinforced insulation. With your AC systems, you've got ADS, so that earth fault path. So if you do your insulation resistance test between your live conductors to earth, that's proven you've got separation on that fault path. If you're doing it with the DC system, all it's really showing is you don't have an earth path where there shouldn't be one anywhere. It shouldn't be there. We're not relying on that protective method. The DC string, we're told to keep them away from earthy parts as much as we cable time to metal rails and stuff. It's the nature of the way it's fitted, isn't it, Sam? But it's not really going to ever present in a way that confirms a safe circuit. The way you confirm that is measuring insulation resistance between your pos and neg, your conductors of that circuit. So there's no potential for them to act together, start a fire, cause a risk of shock to someone coming across those things. And it could be that a rodent's chewed away at your pos and neg under the panels somewhere, and they're flapping around in the breeze against each other or whatever, and it's your instrument that'll see that and tell you where that fault is with the locator feature that you mentioned, Steve. And you can action it, can't you? But you can't do that if you've got both of them together to earth. So
is the argument then that you could do that positive to negative insulation test on a standard instrument at midnight then, when there's no sunlight?
I guess you could maybe try it, couldn't you? That's maybe an interesting one. If you can make it dark for your test, there's no voltage there. So if it had run, I've not actually checked what comes out of a solar panel in pitch black. If it is 0 volts or if there's a volt or two there.
Would kill me if I was up in my loft
That's it.
at midnight testing.
What are you doing?
Testing my panel to see.
We all
if it
go on
works.
night shift. So
Yeah,
sounds like Matty's shift, that one to me.
That's one of the challenges, isn't it? And like we mentioned about not having enough sunlight to do your irradiance and your voltage and your short circuit and everything, and then trying to do your insulation resistance is very tricky. And we've in the past, and this has changed over the last year or so, but in the past we've fitted a lot of solar edge equipment, and they've all got optimizers on, and the only way that we could physically test them is running the inbuilt insulation test that the optimizer has, the inverter has, that actually tests that there isn't any connection between the positive and negative, or any loose connections and things like that. But that's fairly unique to Solar Edge in terms of what it shows you. But we can't. There's no other way for us to do it. We could do it the way of positive negative together to earth, but like you say, most of the time that's easily 999 or however your tester shows it, because we've never intended for there to be any kind of connection there. That the most dangerous one is the test between positive and negative, in terms of if that's a low reading, that's where you start getting fires and things. So that's the one that we want to make sure we're testing. And optimizers do present a slightly safer system in terms of the rapid shutdown that they can provide when they see that. And they do often have some sort of monitoring capability to shut a system down if they see it. But certainly on a non-optimized system, we've still got to be able to test it to make sure that the positive and negative are not touching each other in terms of, there's no breakdown. And I'm sure you've had it, Matt, we've had it where, we've put the cables in. It was probably before PV Ultra, but where we've put cables in like a flexible conduit, and it might have been quite a long run, and those cables have rubbed together. And then we've had it where we've tested older installations where it's had rodent damage and things like that, and it's very hard to spot when you're just looking over the cable, because it can be right in the back corner of the loft. So being able to test it and know that there is a problem is so important, because if that's in a loft next to all the cardboard boxes, it can just be generating a little bit of heat, and suddenly that roof is on fire, and that's a terrifying prospect for the customer. But thinking of myself, getting that phone call in the morning would not be one that I would look forward to.
No, I mean the optimizers and the kit running tests all the time is great. They are starting to do bits and pieces around that. But none of that really sits in the realms of satisfying regulations. We see the same with the electronic RCDs and stuff that were in EV chargers. Never satisfy that. There's certain elements we have to cover off with testing beyond that. And it's great to hear that the instrument manufacturers are looking at that, trying to find a way for us to be able to achieve it. Because it's all well and good saying, well, we want this stuff tested, we want to know that's been done, we want these figures. So how do we actually do it? Let's think of ways to achieve that out in the real world. And if we're seeing that innovation now, maybe it'll be a problem that'll go away in the next few years. And I think that instrument you're pitching to market is in a good spot. It's in, from the sounds of it, at the kind of residential level installers who maybe haven't got the budget for the all singing, all dancing test instrument, where they're maybe going to use 20-30% of its features. So satisfying that is really important. If that includes the optimization side of things, all the better, because we optimize every single residential project now. Mainly from the safety side of things, we're looking at rapid shutdown, like you mentioned, Sam. That's why we do it. When traditionally, maybe the optimizers are only in the realms of kind of the commercial grade systems because of the length of the strings, and Solar Edge being the only real way to tackle that. So I think that's a good move, you having it in that test set. So that's a positive for me, because we was just in the realms of relying on the kit, using your clamp meters and stuff with those kind of installations.
It'd be really interesting to find out how that works, that test as well, when you guys have had
Next Friday.
We're there for the training next Friday. So the big advantage is that we're in Italy. We're there for the training. They booked us into a lovely hotel with an outside swimming pool. The disadvantage is it's -6.
Oh, crikey. Yeah, you should have arranged that for June. You've got the wrong time of year there, boys.
We're not taking a speedos anyway.
Love it, eh?
So watch this space. We'll have more information hopefully by
we'll let you know.
next Friday.
And I guess for the guys and girls who are in the bigger kits out in your field arrays and stuff, you must have a range of instruments looking at that as well. Is there kit beyond the kind of PV checks Pro and Preview checks?
Yeah, so there's again, we don't know when it's coming in 2026, but there is an iCurve on the market at the minute, which is like the PV checks Pro. So it's the 40 amp, it's the 1500 volt, but it doesn't do an insulation test, and it's also not got the ground fault locator on it.
So it'll do everything.
So they're talking about hopefully the back end of 2026, a Solar Pro coming that will literally do everything.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's one instrument that'll do an I-curve, insulation, ground fault, all your commissioning tests, all be at a report, all download, all in one bit of test equipment.
And let's not forget, let's wind it right back to the other end as well. We've also got the kit, which is the clamp meter and the irradiance meter that you can check for what should the power be at the minute. Using your clamp meter, we can measure the current, we can measure the voltage, we can see whether the two correlate. So, you were talking about efficiency to start with, Mark, on a brand new installation. We can sort of use that as a bit of a benchmark to start with for performance. And then over time you can see, is that changing just by using the little standalone radiance meter and a clamp meter with your MC4 leads, voltage, current. Is it as efficient as it should be?
That's the great thing with fault finding and looking at systems that are existing, I think, where you can go out and have a quick look, and if you've had a customer report a problem, it's a system we've not delivered, it could be 15 years old. Having that kind of kit just in your tool bag when you're up in the loft or whatever out at the inverter, that is essential.
And it's not a lot of money.
No, it isn't. And the safety side of it as well with the voltage indicators. So we bought into those, is it the 8000, which will do your AC and DC measurements. When we're forming these isolations now to work on this kit, we need to be locking off AC and the DC side. So it's making it simple and accessible again, isn't it? We don't want to be carrying around 3 or 4 multifunction testers and 3 or 4 different voltage indicators and clamp meters.
No.
You're putting people off from even bothering when you're at that point, spending the money to buy the kit to begin with, carrying it and lugging it around the next. So having as much of that condensed into the same stuff makes a lot of sense. And to be fair, on the market, out in the test instrument, I'm not thinking of any other brands who are really making those steps as what you guys are. So you're trying to fulfill that need when maybe the market share, if you like, isn't there. You've been in this from the start, haven't you? And it's safer to stick with the AC stuff is what I'm saying.
Absolutely it is.
Yeah,
it's so easy on that side.
It is, but on that side of it, we've developed an AC product. We're supposed to bring it today, but for one reason or another,
Mark forgot it.
Yeah, you can't rely on the staff, can you?
it's currently with the photographer, shall we say?
You mentioned the 8000 that you've just mentioned. I think you did a video on it recently.
I did. I think I got the product number wrong while I was doing it, but yes, I did.
I've seen someone comment and correct you. But yeah, that's obviously got an AC clamp on it at 200 amps, but we've been testing an AC DC open jaw clamp meter, so it'll do 200 amps AC and DC.
1500 volts.
1500 volts DC. But what we've decided to look at is that you've got the removable leads on the voltage side. So what in the kit we're looking at, you'll still get the voltage lead, but actually we've got another replaceable lead that you plug it in, and on the other end you've got a positive and negative MC4. So you can go straight in and measure your voltage.
And ticking all the boxes.
For safe
it's compliant for safe isolation, because whatever you're on, if you're on current, you're on diode test or whatever, as soon as it picks up voltage, it goes onto voltage, like the standard TIS 8000 version. We're now talking about the AC/DC one. It's got non-contact volt detection, so again, great for diverted neutral issues. It's got single pole voltage detection on it. So again, same sort of thing. And obviously you've got the AC clamp, again, the third check for diverted neutral potential problems. So yeah, it should be a bit of a showstopper when we bring it out.
Yeah.
When you're expecting that might be available-ish.
I think XL solar storage will be a little bit too soon. We might have some samples there to show people, but certainly the solar storage in September.
Yeah.
We'd hope to have stock available on that. So we've tested it. We've tested about a dozen samples, haven't we?
Yeah.
And, it's good.
The challenge was getting the DC accuracy right. And the one other little thing that came from EFIX suggested it actually was if we're using the DC to check whether a solar system is live or not, how do we know that the clamp is actually working? So they said it'd be a great idea to have a little self-proving system for the DC current. So if you're checking to see whether there is current flowing in a solar system and it says 0, can we check that it is actually 0 or whether the instrument's not reading properly? So we've got, and it's under wraps at the minute, but we've got a clever little way of being able to generate a DC current to prove that the clamp is measuring DC.
So like an inbuilt proving unit of sorts.
Yeah, you drop it into the open
that's
jaw
such a good
clamp
idea.
and it's measure 50 amps or something like that, so at least you know it's measuring.
Yeah, that is a good idea.
So
It's not a proving
thanks-
unit; it's a proving probably checker.
Yeah.
Than all else.
Yeah, so thanks to Gary Hayes on
He
that
has his
one, and
uses,
obviously-
doesn't he?
Yeah,
These guys.
don't thank him anymore. His head'll get too big.
No, I mean, in terms of the product, we spoke about listening to eFix and the likes of us talking about this stuff, but do you have shows you go to look at kit that's coming out? Because when we want to learn about this stuff, then we go to the trade shows and watch stuff on the internet and
Well,
whatnot.
we're down to go to Electronica in Munich this year.
Yeah.
We do a lot of the shows in the Far East. Obviously, we spend some time in Italy with those guys. So yeah, we go with a blank piece of paper, don't we? When we go to the Hong Kong shows, the China shows, Taiwan, Germany. Yeah.
So it's just taking in that information, I guess, isn't it, and taking a punt on something that you think is going to be a flyer, and
Yeah, I mean,
that years of experience guide you with that.
And we've got people that if we've got an idea and we've got a problem, needs a solution, we've because of that experience, we've got people that we can take that problem to, and we're lucky that usually they can find a solution to it.
Yeah, it's interesting to hear the stuff you are still working on, because we think, this is on the market, you've got your other stuff, that's kind of where we'll sit for a while, but you are still doing that stuff in the background. We've got these products on the way, and is there kind of a move with you thinking of the hand tools where you're going to produce like solar installer kits? Are you looking at maybe doing that, where you got your bags with your hand tools and your tester in?
It's a great idea, man.
Yeah.
We'll write that down.
Yeah.
We've kind of done that with the SK1, haven't we? Where we've put the safe isolation kit with some Knipex if you're in Germany items in there. So we've kind of done that, but yeah, it's a good idea when we're looking possibly at the interim, the PV checks one that's not quite as expensive. There might be a little bit of scope there to pad that out.
Yeah.
We say, look, there's such a saving now over and above the 40 amp version. We've actually paired it as a kit with, maybe some MC4 connection kits and stuff like that.
I think it's good to try and push people down quality crimpers as well,
Yeah.
because we're not crimping every day, but God, we've seen some disasters where people have got a £20 crimper and they crimp it, and you can literally get your fingers and just pull it off.
Yeah.
Again, and these are on roofs, and I know the Knipexes are not the cheapest, but if you crimp it with one of them, you can literally swing off it.
And again, probably the elephant in the room here is that it's commercially, all of this is great for us, but genuinely, it's exciting to be able to bring this stuff to market to help problems and hopefully stop people being injured or worse.
Yeah, I mean, we see with the ferrule crimpers, when they first came out, they were so expensive, people default to like the eBay and Amazon where you can get a set for 20 quid or whatever, and we've done experiments with them showing the poor results they can deliver. So we swapped into using Knipex and Weir and stuff for the crimping side of that, so you've at least got a respected manufacturer behind that tool, and there's kind of proof of its calibration, and we certainly saw much more longevity from those tools from doing that, for sure. And with the MC4 stuff, people are still doing that with pliers at times, as weird as that. It's just the cost forces people away, I think, doesn't it? They end up in that space with the cheaper entry point kit, and it's just trying to get that message out there to people that these connections are the ones that cause a huge issue, and it's well worth spending that money on a tool that can crimp properly. And I've done some videos recently comparing the Knipex product and other manufacturers to show the different results you can get, and then how that sits alongside trying to do it with pliers and some of these budget sets. And it's scary, the difference, when you actually do look at it.
Yeah.
But if you don't know and you just crimp it, plug it in, away you go, it's sat there then, isn't it?
But that also then leads into the Weir torque screwdrivers and a similar problem there, under tightening it or over tightening it can create a similar problem, can't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is a minefield. People that are entering the industry right from, they might have been electricians for a long time and know all these big brands, but it is very tempting to not get, these fairly expensive tools when you compare it to your Amazons and everything, which the quality is there, but it's knowing which ones to get and the minefield that it can be looking for the right tools. And I think that's why sometimes if you've got a kit that that if you buy into this kit, yes, you might pay a little bit more, but someone's put that together that has got experience in the industry, or like you guys have, you've been able to gather that experience on what pieces of kit are really good, then that just takes that headache away from people a little bit and just go, well, that should be probably 90% of the stuff I need. I don't need to worry too much that the quality isn't there because it's got these big brands in it and everything. I think one of the interesting things with this crimping is the 10 mil solar PV. Like that's something that I've been scratching my head around, and we spoke about this to the talk guys that we had on, and
another brand we can't say, is it Heimar?
Heimar.
Pronounce it all wrong.
Well,
we've got Wago, Nipex.
Yeah.
I never say any of them right. I'm sure they stitch us up on purpose.
Yeah, but again, things are developing. Panels are going further away from the inverters, and so cable size are going up, and that's changing how we have to work with the different jaws that go into some of these crimping tools and things. So it is a minefield, and it's trying to do your best and use the best equipment that you can afford, but also that gives you that longevity.
Yeah. What I'd also say, while we're on that subject, and we witnessed it particularly with Nipex, is they've got a problem with copies through non-approved supply chains. So it's worthwhile people just watching that. The old story, if it looks too good to be true, it probably is. Just be careful that we're buying particularly crimping tools and stuff like that through the proper channels to make sure it's not a cheap copy.
Yeah, we see it with the wiring regs as well, don't we? Where they get released and then straight away they're on Amazon, but not the official copy. They've been reprinted and there's errors through them everywhere. And you've got to be really careful. That's why sourcing in the right way. I mentioned about the toolkit because I was just thinking myself coming into industry 4 years ago, when we didn't know really what was needed, if there was a bag kit we could get, the right test instrument, your voltage indicators, your safe isolation, a selection of hand tools and crimpers and whatnot. I'd have bought it straight away for me and the guys rather than trying to pick through what I thought we might need. And there is a huge volume of people who are going to be coming into this industry now. We've seen it in the regs. There'll be a maintenance of all this stuff that's been installed. So there'll be a lot of electricians who aren't familiar with it, who just want a kit knowing that they can do a bit of work if they come across an inverter and stuff through an EICR maybe or whatever, and having the right instrument and tooling around that. I think that'll be a flyer for you guys, and I'll take my 10% if you like.
I doubt, yeah. Dragons on Dragons Den next week, isn't it? But no, I think it's a good idea. I think sometimes the only downside is probably people's budget. Maybe looking at this big, well, they think I'll just buy that for now, and then obviously build the kit as they go on. But yeah, without a doubt, if someone's got the money, then yeah, a full kit's a good idea. Yeah.
So in terms of looking forward, then over sort of this year coming, now that we've just started 2026, you mentioned about this new kind of in between PV test that's coming out, and amongst other things. But what's what are you most excited about coming out in this year? Is there one thing that you kind of like? We're just so ready for this to come out because we think it's going to be.
That product, Sam.
I think even with the PV checks one, yeah, without a doubt, yeah, we've been. It's been nearly 2 years of something in between not having it.
Yeah,
sort of scratching that itch of people saying that's too.
Yeah, and when we've done these shows and you sort of go down and you show them what that does, and they're like, wow, and they'll go, how much is it? And then you tell them, and it's like. I'm not doing commercial industrial, I'm just doing more residential, and that's a little bit overkill, 40 amps for me, but the 15 amps not enough. And also if I'm doing residential but I move on to industrial and commercial, then like you said earlier, you bought a tester and actually that's no good now. So actually looking to buy something that's going to give them that time.
Yeah, we've had the awkward conversations with numerous people, might be listening to this, where the improvements with N-type panels now, where it's took that efficiency over the 15 amps, where the instrument they bought offers probably 2 years ago at 15 amps now is not good enough, and that 15 amp unit can't be actually firmware updated. The fact now that we've got something that when they come and say, look, this 15 amp version's not enough, but I don't want to be paying X of thousands pounds more for the 40 amp one. The fact that we can now bring this 30 amp one out that's less of a bitter pill to swallow. Is good as well, because there are a lot of people out there who have bought the 15 amp unit and now they're realising it's not really got a big enough short circuit current mainly.
I think as well as bifacial is getting more and more popular as well, whereas the PV checks, the one that's been out for 15, 16 years, I don't even know if there were bifacial panels back then in 15, 16 years ago. So that can only test monofacial. So again, having something in between that can still do your bifacial panels as well, because the more and more people we speak to, they're fitting bifacial. Yeah,
so we've got two products to conclude. We've got two products we're excited about. The Chex One, the 30 amp solar commissioning instrument with the GFL, blah, blah, blah. the nice thing as well is, like Steve said, it can be actually updated onto the. So if you've got the 40 amp PV Checks Pro, that can then be updated for the optimized panel systems.
Yeah.
And the other one is pending all the tests. The TIS 9000 we've been talking about at the other end of the pricing spectrum with the AC/DC current on there, the inbuilt proving system, and the interchangeable MC4 leads, and the capability to do the 1500 volt insulation test and safe isolation all in one unit.
All in one unit, yeah.
Exciting times, and just want to say thanks to you guys while you are here for your support with Apprentice 1-to-1 and the safe isolation campaign. People watching maybe aren't aware of the stuff you guys do in the background with all of that, giving stuff out for the safe isolation stuff. You've done more of that than anyone else, and certainly with the support you've given me with the training centre and whatnot over the last few years, I very much appreciate it, and happy to support you in return in any way I can. And for those watching, if you want to go and interact with the guys' products, you do virtually all the trade shows, I think, pretty much, aren't you? If you want to go and see this stuff in person, and if there's anywhere else to check it out, is it the website best place to go to have a look at this stuff?
Yeah, website's got everything there. We try and put videos out on YouTube. But yeah, we'll be at all the elect shows in 2026. And in fact, this year we'll have Nipex and Weir on our stand this time, opposed to them being on separate stands. With all the solar and storage events. And the amendment changes, the tech talks that NAPIT are doing as well, will be at them. So yeah, we've got
and also in Scotland, our guy on the ground up there, Barry McKenzie, will be attending pretty much all of their select toolbox talks as well throughout Scotland in 2026.
So is that from sort of April time? We've just seen that today, haven't we, with the Amendment 4 dropping, is it the 16th of April, I think it was? So they're rolling out after that?
Yeah, the tech talks are April onwards, yeah. Yeah, the first elect shows Bolton, then Ali Pally in March, but yeah, the tech talks starting in April onwards, yeah. So yeah, we got a busy year planned, yeah.
Yeah, well, thank you both very much for coming and joining us and giving us kind of a bit of a roadmap of what you've got coming out, but also a little bit of information around the challenges of solar PV testing. And we want to hear from you guys watching, what are your biggest gripes with solar PV testing? What are the things that you would like more information about? You know, what your experiences with doing this sort of stuff, because we all can experience the same problems, but equally people can come across their own unique issues and things that they don't necessarily understand. I know I've conquered a lot of knowledge gaps over the years where something's just not gone in quite right. So drop us a message to the podcast, leave the questions in there, and we'd love to have a little look at those and see where these little knowledge gaps are, and see if through the content that we do, and I'm sure you guys would love to help as well, we can try and fill some of those gaps.
Yeah, absolutely.
And point you to the right piece of equipment. But yeah, thank you both very much for
Thanks for
coming.
having us.
Thanks for having us, yeah.
Thanks to everybody for watching. If you haven't already subscribed to the Renewables Podcast channel on YouTube, then head over there now and click subscribe. And we're across social media platforms, and just interact with us. What would you like to see going into 2026? Thanks very much for watching, and we'll see you on the next one.